Hey there, kids. It's me, Oni the Unicorn. And I'm here to tell you that f***ing your dreams ain't cheap. In fact, it costs a ton of cash to do. So that's why me and the ONW radio show need your help. Just go to the website displayed below and hit us up with some cash, yo. $1, $5, $1 million if you have it to spare. Any amount is appreciated. Well, I gotta go because these dreams ain't gonna fuck themselves. See ya!
And yes, welcome back to yet another edition, episode number 156, I believe, of the Oh No Wrestling Podcast. And my name is Owen. I am your Sharp Braid Kid. Along with me tonight, invoking the free bird rule, is the one and only Matthew, the Clint Bobski, the Matt Raja, in the building. Been a long time since we've seen him.
Mike Beer.
And since the last time we've seen him, a lot has changed. Because once upon a time, you see, your modern day Matt Raja may have been your former ONW Predictions champion, but tonight is the crowning of the new ONW champion, the man, the myth, and not so much of a legend, but the one and only himself, me, Owen Butler, the Sharp Break Kid, the captain, coming to take it. I'm gonna be reveling in this win for a long time, Matthew. How do you feel about your baby boy coming home with me?
Well, next time I know where I want to steal it, I know I'm coming to Orlando. I know that much.
Well,
I was taking that baby all around, taking it up to Detroit, down to Toledo, one of the shittiest places I've ever been. I guess I got a big head taking it around. I got kissed too many babies. Shook too many hands. I got too cocky.
You shook too many babies. You kissed too many hands. And at the end of the day, your boy, who has been accused of multiple times of having these roll-ups, myself, I'm always being accused of getting the cheap victory. This was no cheap victory this weekend, sir. This was an absolute slaughter fest. This is my best performance since we've started the podcast. This is my crowning achievement. This, as Duncan put it, was my Battle of Los Angeles. This is a
Yes, my tribal chief. Yes, my tribal chief.
Acknowledge me right off the bat, because that's what we need to do if we need to move things forward. Okay?
I acknowledge you, and we did talk about this at the beginning of the weekend, where you said you and I had a quick convo about doing the podcast tonight, and then you were like, "Yeah, like it could be interesting." You were like, "One of us could win it, for NXT. Yep. One of us could win it for night one of Mania, and then I could even have brought it back on night two of Mania because of the way it laid out." And you hit all three. And you know what? I have to give kudos where kudos are due, because that is three predictions
in one
in a
weekend.
row over 48-hour period, less than a 48-hour, but 36-hour period, really, probably.
Yeah.
Like that you got right. So that is kudos. I can't knock that.
No, it's been the hardest fought weekend of my life, but it's not only been a hard fought weekend, it was a really enjoyable weekend of wrestling. And because of that, we do have a shitload to talk about. Of course, it was WrestleMania weekend. Of course, there was NXT, but there was so much more as well. Some of which I've seen, some of which I've seen highlights, some of which I've seen none of. And I look forward to talking about not only all the events of WrestleMania weekend, but look forward to kind of talking about just everything going on in the wrestling world right now, because it's once again, we had a major shakeup, and this WrestleMania weekend, I don't know. I'm just going to try and like put it out there for you to ask you, Matthew, but did it leave you feeling like there's some hope in WWE left?
It did, and I don't know if that's because I went in with such low expectations.
Yeah.
That like I was actually surprised, right? You know, they say, I don't know, expectations only lead to sorrow, right?
That's it.
There was a homeless man I once knew named Reverend Friendly who lived in Boulder, Colorado, who used to say, well, what did I just say? What was it?
Expectations. What is it?
Fuck, I forget what it is. Now I forget it. I'm sorry. I don't know. I've been traveling all day. I'll come back to it, Reverend Friendly.
If Vince can forget what he's saying at Undertaker's Hall of Fame, you can forget what you're saying in this particular situation.
And how to take a stunner and still be happy with himself. So
exactly.
Yeah. But no, I think that low expectations of like going in, right? And like I think that had something to do with it. And I also think the way they booked it, the way they pulled it off, the performances, I think there was a whole mesh of things. It wasn't just that, right? I think though 100%. If I had gone in with extremely high expectations, I still think I think I'd be like, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But you know, like if I put myself on the opposite side, I don't know if I would have hyped myself up too much, where I would have given myself a little. If I'd gotten on like the Austin train, like he's gonna do a match, like things like that. Like,
if we knew all of the stuff that we were about to see in advance, we probably wouldn't have had as good of a time. I think that like by having some of those doubts and some of those surprises, and just like the general doubt of because of how bad WWE has been in recent like months and years, it led us to not be particularly stoked for this Mania. I was very low going into it, probably the lowest I've been for a Mania in years, probably since I got back into wrestling. There wasn't a lot on this card that really, really made me want to, like I was going to tune in because it's WrestleMania, but there wasn't a ton that I was like super looking forward to. And I'm wondering do you think that was by design? Do you think that they honestly like, not necessarily saying they intentionally made the product like shittier. That's not what I'm saying. But do you think that they purposely led us down a road to be a little less enthused about things than usual so that they could deliver in the way that they did?
I mean, that's an interesting question. I think it's even more interesting if you were to say like,
oh no, he froze there. That's a shame. Matthew, I don't know. Poor Matthew is in an internet. He's in a hotel, and we all know how sometimes, hotel internet isn't the best. I'm gonna obviously try and get him back on the line because I can't do the whole show about WrestleMania myself. So let me go ahead and Oh, nope. There we go. You got you back. We got you back. You're good to go. You're good to go.
Okay. You were frozen on my end, and I was just still talking. So,
oh yeah, we were both talking. I think you need to finish up your thought there. We left.
Oh, I was just saying that, I think if we went, like if I was going into it having been watching WWE all of the time, like I don't know that mentality, right? Because it hasn't been that great. So I haven't been tuning in unless I'm traveling. It's in the background of wrestling. So I pay attention to it or I watch the highlights, right? But so I can't say it if they did that on purpose, but if they did, it was fucking genius, because this marks like a new beginning. Like if they can pull it off and carry it through, and again, also kudos to them for putting on amazing, shows, right? Like they were amazing. I didn't watch NXT. That's the only one I haven't watched.
That's fair.
But
That's fair.
But what do you think? I mean, I'd be interested to know,
Well,
like, how you.
I think it's a mix of both. I think there were some happy accidents in there. I think that there were some things that kind of like did play into it, in that they couldn't necessarily have planned. Like, this was not a triumph in long-term booking. This was a thing, a sort of like a weird universe coming together, and it all seemingly make it work. Before we get into the events of, say, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, let's talk just briefly about what happened on Friday. And, we'll go linear with this a little bit, just to kind of keep it, it will help me, because there's been so much, and like I've got so many notes. It will help me remember some of the things that even fucking happened, because there's been so much. So, I think we might have to do a secondary podcast at some point where we talk more about the events outside of WWE, and including, of course, all the Ring of Honor stuff that happened on Friday. I still haven't seen a lot of it because someone hasn't sent me it yet, but I'll
My bad.
but I'll get there.
It's in the mail.
But I'll get there. Yeah, it's in the mail. I got a VHS coming. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But no, obviously I've heard great things about FTR and Briscoes, and just the whole show of Ring of Honor, and how well it went. I'm really excited to see that, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is, on Friday we obviously had a SmackDown. Following that SmackDown was the Hall of Fame ceremony. Now, they did a Hall of Fame ceremony last year, but it felt very weird, and it kind of, no, it was a Thunderdome, wasn't it? Like, it was a Thunderdome Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to see the old sort of format of the Hall of Fame ceremony make its reappearance, with it being in front of a live crowd, of course, number one, but also being in the arena, taking place in the ring, not making it like a typical award show like they did for so many years. Those were very, very, very boring, if I'm going to be honest. Very, very boring shows. And this year, we were able to get, of course, for The Undertaker, we were able to get a show in front of a live crowd, and it felt, of course, fitting for The Undertaker, who had his retirement ceremony in front of a Thunderdome. And I do applaud that. I think that the way that they handled the whole format of the Hall of Fame ceremony was a good thing. I think it worked. Your thoughts, if you've seen any of the Hall of Fame?
I saw some of it. I'm never a big fan of the Hall of Fame.
Not really me either, but
I watched the highlights, and then I didn't go back and watch anything that I didn't read about or didn't want to go watch. I didn't go actively search it out on Peacock and watch it. Right? If I was looking at clips, it was either linking from an article I was on to something on YouTube or something like that, where I actually was getting 4 minutes or 17 minutes, right, of Taker or something things like that. But I didn't watch it. So I did watch all of the Taker stuff. It did have a different feel. I mean, and I think I liked it because it was in that arena, and you did have that crowd, and it was in the ring, and then you had the wrestlers. I don't know. I think that it was a cool presentation, and it's definitely different from last year. I mean, extremely, once you're able to put it even in an arena with crowds, let alone, not just having other wrestlers there.
So a couple of things I'll say just as little takeaway notes from this. I felt like Charmel, of all people, had the best speech of the night. I think she absolutely killed it. She was a natural. It felt from the hip. It didn't feel like it was a pre-constructed speech like pretty much every single other one of the speeches, including, of course, the hour-long TED Talk that we got from The Undertaker. I say it was an hour. I don't think I'm even really exaggerating. Like, it was pretty damn close if it wasn't a full hour. Have you watched that full thing? Because it's sort of cringy, man.
So I fast forwarded through a bunch of it, and then I found like a 17-minute clip, like
Condensed
someone
version.
had pieced it together, like
Yeah.
being like, "All right, here you go," you know. So it was cringy at times, even in that. But I did start for a while, and I was like, "Fuck, this is going to be a while," because I was looking at the time on that video, and I was like, "All right, keep fast forwarding." I was catching moments, but it was, yeah, I don't know. You don't need to go that long.
I wasn't a fan of just how, like, it felt too contrived. It didn't feel from the heart as much as it should have been. And I know that's probably, Mark absolutely taking his time and trying to craft something that he felt like was worthy of his career and worthy of like what the moment and all that. But I felt like even the same with Vince McMahon's speech. Like, it just didn't hit me. Like, everything felt like a little.
Vince is definitely, yeah.
Vince's was like, that one was even cringier. He was telling these stories that he thought were going to get so over. And there's a point. There's a point in his induction speech where the crowd like gets him shook. And you can see it, and he loses his train of thought. Like, maybe it's his age, or he actually just got legitimately shook by the crowd, because he did a good job of quelling the whole what things going on. Like, he did a good job initially of some of that, but there was a moment in like the early 5-minute mark, somewhere around there, where he loses it, and you can see like he's trying to catch back up in his thoughts and the story he's trying to tell. And I think that probably threw him off completely. And yeah, and let's be real, like, the stories that he was so convinced that would get over, they weren't really even that interesting or that funny or that like in depth. Like, we've kind of heard all that stuff at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even saying this to like mock Vince or like say that like this was on Vince. I just don't know that like it felt like they were trying to propel to the gravitas of which they felt it needed to be, and it was almost like impossible to ever really capture that, in a like that like that thing. So I left the Hall of Fame very much like, okay, Taker, I definitely don't need to see you again for a while.
Well, and then you saw them both nights at Mania.
Exactly.
And I get it. Like, even the second night, I get it. I'm like, all right, give people what they paid for if they couldn't be there the night before.
They want to hear the music. They want to see the lighting. They want to see, like,
give them the experience. I get it. I'm not mad at it. Not mad, but I was personally just like, okay,
go away,
come on,
go away now, go away, Taker, go away, Taker.
And when you just said earlier, what was it? The TED Talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely what it was. Like, even like his hand movements and like the microphone and like all that.
It was Tony Robbins, motivational speaker meets TED Talk, and I have a feeling that he's probably going to do a lot of this, like when outside of wrestling now, right? Like, I'm sure he's on some sort of a Legends contract or something like that, but he's probably going to be.
Never say never.
But he's probably never say never. There's that. Okay, please just say never now. Just say never.
Done,
we don't need to. We don't need to see it. I know I'm being a little harsh there with Taker, and I know the legacy, but I just don't need it anymore. That's my personal opinion. I don't need to ever really see him as a character in wrestling ever again. I have a couple different thoughts on this. I do think that part of the reason he was doing that whole TED Talk thing is that he'll probably do some inspirational speeches at colleges and make some outside money from the WWE doing a like motivational speaking tour as Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, right? Like that seems like something that he absolutely could do. And I'm not knocking him for trying that and going down a different avenue. But what I also can see happening, Matthew, is I think that they are prepping in a weird way for Undertaker to be an on-screen authority figure as Mark Calloway.
Oh God,
I just have this feeling that he's not, like, he's done wrestling, but maybe that never say never was that he's not done being an on-screen performer. And I have a weird feeling the way he had his, like, like, in the suit with that with the braid and the hair, and like the way he was presenting himself seems to me so much like a WWE authority figure. Am I crazy?
No, now that you say that, I had not thought about that, but I'm 100% can totally see it. And I actually had a thought during Edge's entrance, even though I know it was like kind of brewed and it's like this new heel Edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, I did think that like even looking at what he was wearing and stuff at the beginning, I'm like, I had thoughts of Taker for a second. I was like, it was kind of Taker-esque.
It was old school Ministry Taker-esque is what I felt like. It was kind of in that same vein. And I don't know that, man, I would prefer.
Yeah, I don't think they would. I think they would keep them far apart. I'm not saying they would do it, but when you said that, I was like, well, where would they do that? Because now Edge is like getting whatever his name is on his side, right? Like to be able to, like, whatever they're forming.
Whatever the new
Damian Priest.
We'll just call it the New Brood for now.
The New Brood, New Brood. Yeah,
but yeah, I can't
see that with Taker, though.
I can't see them putting Taker with that group or anything like that. I don't see that working.
That suit that he had was slick, though.
It was a good suit.
It was a slick suit. If he's not going to be a manager, I'm going to be pissed because I'm going to see a lot of that suit. I appreciated it the first time I saw it. The second time I was like, oh, it's the same suit. Like, you could have gotten two suits, and like your Taker, it's WWE, get billions of dollars.
Get one like one slight shade off, like just a tiny,
just a little bit different of a pattern or something.
Yeah, but no, I can see him, being thrown into that fold, and honestly, like, I can see it sort of working. I do think you have to call him Mark Calloway.
You do. You can't.
I can't. I don't think. I think you have to, like, because at this point kayfabe's already so broken. We've already had the retirement of the Undertaker, but we haven't had the retirement of Mark Calloway. So that's where I feel like that might fit in. Those are really my only thoughts on the Hall of Fame, other than like great tribute to Shad. I feel they did a pretty classy job of that. Vader's not so wonderful. Did find it odd that Mick Foley wasn't mentioned once in Undertaker's speech, especially with the list of wrestlers that he gave out. I believe even Noel Foley commented on that and was like, because Mick's not gonna, but Noel was just like, hey, well, great speech, but
remember, I don't know, some of the biggest moments of your career.
And she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong.
It's
at all.
Those are some of the most defining moments of his career, and they chose in all the video packages. There wasn't a ton of Mick in there, and I'd have to watch it back, but there were just so many video packages over WrestleMania weekend. I don't know how I would even find it, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not sure that they even used the footage of like Foley through the cell and stuff or off the cell. I can't in my mind like remember them using that, even with that Metallica song that they use and like that whole deal. But
do you think it's like because like that he seems to just say whatever he wants, like, and he critiques AEW, he critiques WWE, like he says what's good and bad about both, right? Like he does play it fair pretty much, and he does give his opinion, it seems like, but I wonder if they don't like that.
I have a weird feeling there might be some tension between Mick and WWE at the current moment. It's not to say that could never change, but Mick's never going to do anything in that company ever again other than just show up and wave. That's it.
Yeah.
I think the last thing that we saw him do was debut the 24/7 championship new belt, and I think that was the last thing he did. Maybe he popped up somewhere after that, but that's the last thing of note I can remember. And then I remember him blaming himself for the reaction that he got, which wasn't his fault.
Yep.
So I think that there might be some weirdness there. So maybe that's part of it. But that's really all I've got to say, honestly, about the Hall of Fame. We do need to, keep things sort of on track because we have so much to talk about once again. And the following day, we got NXT Stand and Deliver. Not a show that I think any of us were thrilled about seeing. Not a lot that was really enticing at all. Like, if this wasn't WrestleMania weekend, and this was on a random Saturday night or Sunday night, if I had like the tiniest thing going on in my life, be it just like I want to cook dinner, I wouldn't have put it on. You know what I mean? Like this was this was like, no, I'd rather go to the bar with my boys or something like that, right? This show was still exactly that. I'm definitely not going to write home about it by any means, but and I know you haven't seen it, but it was also on at 1 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. And I think, and before, of course, day one of WrestleMania. I'm not sure this is a good way to, like, a good slot or a good way to put this on. Like, that felt to me like the death of the show before it began.
Dude, I thought about this because I didn't watch it, but when I thought about where it was, like before Mania, I was like, God, dude, I was like, imagine like you have almost 80,000 people going to Mania or whatever, right? Like, so like, how many people are sitting in their hotel rooms watching that, right?
Yeah.
Like, or anything, and then trying to go to Mania for a long day, or evening or whatever, and like do that. But also, then I like thought about it because I was like, if you're going to do the Hall of Fame, and I was like, on the Friday, I was like, there's nowhere else to put it because if you didn't do the Hall of Fame, then you'd probably have to do it on like the Thursday because you have SmackDown on Friday, unless you made that SmackDown like an NXT special or something, right? Like, but you're still looking at like 4 days of wrestling now, right? So like there is, and I did have this thought, and I was like thinking about, I was like, yeah, because when you make WrestleMania 2 days, you're automatically now shifting those other things.
I don't know where you put it. It's a tough thing because that Saturday was usually reserved for NXT takeovers, and it was usually a great experience on the big pay-per-views. You'd get your NXT takeover before you'd get your your whatever
your pay-per-view
your
on
main
Sunday.
pay-per-view on Sunday. But yeah, like you said, with that Friday slot being kind of like the SmackDown into the Hall of Fame, now see, that works for me. I think that is the right way to do it. You can't go Friday slot SmackDown into an NXT pay-per-view for me. Like, that doesn't work.
No.
So you realistically, do you have to do NXT Stand and Deliver, Takeover, whatever we're calling the next one? Do you do that on the Thursday?
Yeah, you would probably
I think you probably do. And I don't. The week is already going to be long. Fans can choose. Like, a lot of them are probably flying in on the Thursday to go to the show on the Friday, right? Some of them might show up on the Wednesday, but you're already asking for a major commitment from people if you want, like, if you're flying that far from overseas or around the country, you're going to this thing, you're probably going to be doing, the 4-day, 3-day at least package. Adding the one more will just be a choice for fans if NXT is good enough I got to get there on Thursday to make sure that I'm there for, takeover, Stand and Deliver, whatever it is. I think that would be a smarter move, and to put it on in the evening, having a show that early and then having to, like, imagine we wanted to do it all. We went to WrestleMania weekend and we wanted to catch that show. that was in a different arena. And then we would have had like this lull for a couple of hours. We probably would have gone back to
We
the
never would have made
hotel.
it, dude. We would have started drinking before NXT.
We would have found a Rainforest Cafe and
in between.
Yeah, somewhere there was a Rainforest Cafe, and we ended up there, and we probably wouldn't have even made it to night one. But yeah, that's a lot to ask. When even though they've split it up into 2 days, there's still long ass WrestleMania shows. Like there's you know, especially when you consider the kickoff and all that, and you have that lull in between. It's a weird thing to ask. If they were in the same arena, you might be able to get away with it a little bit more, but
you might be able to. But even being in an arena, and imagine like being in like AT&T Stadium too, right? Like that's like, I mean, we did it for Mania 33. It's a big experience, like, and you have to be there in your seats, or else you're like grabbing food or drinks or going to the bathroom, and then you're there, and it's like, you know, you're dealing with outside elements, heat. Like
I live here now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just like, it's not like sitting on it's a long experience sitting on your couch watching it, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's like you can like do whatever you want at home, but you're there for the experience. But it is long, and you are kind of like going through it too, because it's different. Our senses are all like, you know, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. You could like to have that all in one. Maybe you could pull it off, but I feel like that arena would be very slim pickings beforehand.
It would be.
Then
it'd be
give
sparse
away, like,
as hell. Like you can't run NXT. It would diminish NXT really to run it in a stadium that size. Like it would look terrible. And how then do you even control the gate, right? Because you've got two different events. Like were you kicking everybody out to bring them back in? Is it a 2-for-1 package? It's something, you know. So they got to really rethink that, especially with the NXT 2.0 rebrand of how this is going to be presented. It made NXT, like, to me, I don't know that it did any better than if they would have just run NXT at the Performance Center like they have been. Like I don't know that they got that much benefit out of running an actual stadium, because they didn't sell that many tickets. So monetarily, it probably lost money and was made up for by, of course, the main roster WrestleMania stuff. But it have such a big impact on me as a fan that now I'm gonna watch more? No, not really. Just because it was in an arena. So that to me was a mistake and something they probably need to analyze. Although there was some decent stuff on the show. Wasn't all trash. There was a lot of trash. The ladder match was pretty good. Did you? Yeah, I know you haven't seen it.
I mean, I've seen the highlights, and
sure,
I know. Yeah.
Santos Escobar is a goddamn stud, and he's the man of the match for that one, and might be the man of the night if I'm being honest. He did. There was a great spot off the top of the ladder where it was a solo, like it was like a flip power bomb off the top of the ladder into another ladder. Now I'm forgetting who even took it. Like, to be honest, but.
Sounds intense.
Yeah, no, it was a really great spot. Grayson Waller almost killed himself, like on his spot falling through a ladder. I don't know that he's at the stage of his career that he needs to be doing that quite yet. Really, like that might have been a little advanced for him. He looked like that. It looked really painful. Happy with Grimes winning though. Good victory. I don't know that anyone would have been thrilled had he not won that match. It was kind of an obvious.
It was, yeah.
You know,
it definitely had to happen.
The Ciampa send-off was nice. Yeah. It was obviously. It seems pretty.
So what do you think? Main roster?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's main roster, and we have toyed with it before. But I had an idea of how. Because this has been, you know, such a topic for such a long time with Ciampa, is how does he fit into the main roster? How does he not get buried like so many from NXT before him? And I mean, they've even tried before with Ciampa, right, on the main roster, and Gargano when he was there. But how do we do it this time if we're moving him up? And very much seems like this is a goodbye, and he's either retiring or he's moving up. Like, it's one of the two. I think he's moving up, and I figured out how you do it, and you make it relevant. You put
him attack Veer.
You put him in Edge's stable. You put him in Edge's stable, and he doesn't get lost, because at least he'll have something to do in some direction. And he's a grizzled dude that would fit from an optic standpoint. He would look good there. It would fit. The second thing,
him and Damien could tag like as part of that group together.
Absolutely could work. There's a second version of this, and it's, well, we saw Triple H come out and hug him at the end of the night, give him his real big send-off. What if he's like Triple H's proxy? Now he can't wrestle, so he's got Ciampa to go out there and do it for him. And Triple H is almost his manager, and is Ciampa's, like, he's the like mouthpiece for Ciampa, even though Ciampa can still talk, of course, we know that. But what a way to bring him to the main roster than to put him with either a legend like Edge or to put him with a legend like Triple H. And that's how you don't let him fall through the cracks, which so many others have.
I don't hate that, because I don't really know where else he does fit in.
No. What are you going to just... I mean, Gargano's gone, so we can't do DIY again, and on the main roster.
Yeah, no, I think that works, because you're actually, like you said, you're giving him something. It's something story-wise that can keep going. It allows him to establish the character on the main roster, so when they split, or something happens eventually, he can then do whatever, as a singles, and he's more established on the main roster, as opposed to just like this NXT dude that, like, maybe people know, like.
I think enough.
I think more of a casual fan would know him when you mentioned NXT, I think, as opposed to like somebody, right? Like, I feel like he is more, because he's been there. That's kind of been his brand. Like,
they're gonna associate him with black and gold. They're gonna associate him like as having, like, maybe they haven't seen him, maybe they haven't watched him, but they know, maybe they might know his name, they might know of him. And that's why it works on either sense. I also think that it sort of adds a legitimacy to Edge's new stable if you go that route, because he is, like, he's a tough bastard. They've got a lot of video and a lot of packages that they can play of Ciampa being Ciampa, and I like Ciampa more when he's a heel. Like, if I'm honest, like, I think he's better suited.
He exudes that.
So if we go that route, that's a way that we can do it. And we'll get to this later, but I feel like it currently fits with the direction of WWE kind of after last night's Monday Night Raw after Mania, because there's a clear reset happening with a lot of things. And I hope that this continues through the next week to SmackDown, and there's more that we get to see of, okay, this is the new direction. They've been really crappy about giving us direction in the last few years as to, like, they always say, WrestleMania. It's like the end of the season, like the year kind of starts after Mania, that Raw after Mania is that show. They at least gave us something last night. Let's continue that momentum, and let's continue that, and now we might have something to build to. It's a lot more we need to get to before we really get in depth with that.
Did you watch live last night?
I did, and it was the first time I watched live in forever, and for multiple reasons.
Did it cut off at the end for you?
After the Roman promo? Or, like, during the Roman promo?
So during the Roman promo, like mine, like, because I was watching live on Sling, it fucking, once it hit 9 o'clock, my time, 11 years, like, it just cut. Like, he was mid-sentence.
It didn't do that for me on USA. It didn't do that for me. That must have been a Sling thing. But they did go a couple minutes over, which is the first time that they've done that on USA for a long time. I always say this too, and I I say this that that AEW should do it. I say that that the WWE should do it. I love when there's the unexpected, not hard out. That once upon a time, Raw in particular was always famous for, oh, but Raw can go 10 minutes over. So you never know exactly what's going to happen.
What's going to happen.
And that should be these wrestling companies need to sort of embed these into these contracts that every once in a while we get to do this. And if you can do that, because it makes it so much more believable that something else can happen. Instead, you're looking at the clock and saying it's 9:57. This match has to end, and it's going to be this finish. I love it when it's not, and then you get an unexpected kick out, and then it goes 5 minutes longer. That's what makes it feel real. I wish they would do more than that. I'm a huge proponent of it, and they kind of did it the other night, which was nice. But going back quickly to the rest of NXT, not a whole lot to talk about. Joe Gacy and Harland were on a grassy knoll. That was creepy. Dallas, Texas, obviously JFK. They did something over there. They got a new women's championship belt. I can
see that.
Yeah, it's actually really kind of nice. It's got a. How the NXT's like all about their colors, right? Like all the colors. Well, so they did like a nice white gold belt, but it has this like, I don't know, metallic sheen of color to it that when it like moves in the light, it's kind of got like it picks up different colors. Like I think there's car paint that's like this. Like it's very hard to explain.
So I know what you're talking about. Like car paint. It's like iridescent almost.
That's probably the word I'm trying to find. Yeah. They have like a little bit of that on the belt, and so it's not too gaudy that it doesn't distract, but it also does fit with the NXT 2.0 theme. And I kind of, I think it's almost the same exact belt with just a slightly different update.
Okay.
And I don't hate it
right now.
And I don't hate it. Like it's actually kind of nice looking. So
I'd like to see the sheen. I know what you're saying. Like an iridescent, like rose gold sheen. Like I know what you're saying. Just looking at the picture that they have next to the other one. But it's not like the real picture. It's just like, like it's like a
render type deal.
Or whatever they wanted to show, as their version of it. But
I think it's one of those that you have to even see it move, like on a video, for you to kind of appreciate, like, oh, it does look different. Like it does have this kind of like weird, like.
But that would make sense also to have the white on the background if you're doing something like that, because it makes it kind of like pop more as it's moving and stuff. Yeah, no, it sounds cool.
No, it's actually not bad at all. I didn't realize, like, I'd seen like some NXT and I'd seen some reports about this, but Gunther, obviously previously Walter, holy shit, is he in shape? Have you seen those pictures of him, man?
I did see. Yeah, dude, he's huge.
It's like a different guy. It's like a different guy. Like maybe he's just like, all right, fuck it. I'm signed to this contract. I'm gonna do everything I can to be a WWE guy, like as much as I possibly can. And I have a weird feeling it's gonna work for him. Like it's like, because he's looking shredded. He's looking.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is him. I'm not trying to put him out at all, because there's probably a lot of it there, but I wonder if someone said something, or there was some meeting that like kind of kicked him into gear, and then all of a sudden he was like, you know what, I'm going to take it even further.
No,
right? Like I'm just going to jack myself up.
I feel like you're right. I feel like he's probably been told something and then gone like, all right,
yeah, he's like, all right, you want me to go to here? Like, I'm going to turn it up to 10. Like,
no, you're right. We also had, of course, Dolph Ziggler retain. Dolph Ziggler, which I predicted, of course. No, and this is funny because my prediction and the reasons I made the prediction have all been proven wrong in subsequent days. But I don't know that they knew that at the time.
I never would have predicted they would have had that rematch on Raw.
No, definitely not. And then apparently having another one tonight, I think that's actually happening.
Oh, really?
I think they're doing that again. They're running it back again tonight on NXT.
They're getting through that trilogy of matches.
Yeah, real quick. But yeah, I do appreciate Dolph has a really sexy belt ass dance. Have you seen? He really is the new ass man.
He does like a little hop and have you seen that? Like when he comes down and he turns around, like, is that what you're talking about?
That's not what I'm talking about. So he wore his like hoodie thing out with the belt underneath it, but he had the belt turned around so that like the face of the belt was on his ass, above his ass. And then he took it off or revealed the belt.
Or he turned it around.
And then he did some stripper like roly-poly fucking ass move I'm a straight man, and it made it move a little.
So I missed what I was like, what is he adjusting? Because when I looked up when I was watching it last night, I like looked up and I was like, did like the strap come undone and he like redid it? Like I didn't see exactly what you're talking, but then I saw that when he was coming down the ramp, he like turned and did this little thing with his hand.
Yeah.
And he was
He's the new ass man, apparently. Gonna have to call Danhausen about that because gimmick infringement. But and then after his entrance, we got Braun just hating NXT logos. That's a gimmick of his. He likes that chainsaw was cool. I mean I mean I'm gonna chainsaw a foam NXT logo and kick it. I mean that's all right. Fine.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. This was the start of my championship run, so I can't be that mad because I think I called all but one match on the show, that night. I don't have those results right in front of me, but it set me up well.
And I'll give you this because we did talk while NXT was happening, and you were like, I'm watching, and you were like, it looks like I might win this. That's when we had the conversation, and I was like, oh, I'm not watching it right now. I got to do this, and this. And I was like, yeah, that's when we were like, you were like, yeah, you weren't even cocky then, knowing I think you were going to win that one. You were like, because Duncan could take it tomorrow, and you could bring it back on Sunday. You were, you were a humble champion going into it.
Well, I fought a hard fight. I took some real chances, but I think by predicting that Dolph would win, that was really like what sold it all for me. And that logic was really just based on the fact that I felt like they were going to be moving Braun Breaker up to the main roster sooner rather than later, and that why would you put it on Dolph so soon and just to strip it away from him immediately. It seems like, of course, that's already been done on last night's Raw, and now maybe Dolph gets it back again on NXT.
Yeah,
Who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen. But that's really all my thoughts on NXT, and we have so much else to cover that we should.
And then they could really fuck it up because Mark Calloway could be Braun Breaker's manager.
Really quickly, we need to detour and go back to Friday. We need to take a step back in time. Because I did want to talk just a little bit, even though I said that we wouldn't really, and we'll do this on a different show, but we should, with Supercard of Honor, the fact that Samoa Joe is all elite is something that I think all of us can be excited about and applaud. That's a guy that we've all had respect for, a guy that sounds like I think he really wants to wrestle, man. Like he sounds determined that he's picking up a title somewhere next to if you're Tony Khan, and here's what's interesting too about this: debuted on the Supercard of Honor Ring of Honor show, but the graphic was Samoa Joe is all elite. Where do you see this going? What do you see them doing with Joe? Quick thoughts. I don't know.
I see him being like a go-between. Like he could win the championship in Ring of Honor, and he will go between. He is all elite, but he will go over there, take that. He will bring some eyes over too for people who aren't just Ring of Honor fans, right? Who are AEW fans who might not have watched. Like that will kind of, I think, be that crossover. I also just really, 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 really hope that he does not get injured. Because I want it, and so part of me, when I was thinking about this, right, like, he's been in the NXT and WWE system for so long. I wonder if, like, he just wants to, like, go, like you were just saying, and, like, he has some things where he wasn't allowed to perform certain things the way that maybe he felt more comfortable doing it, and, like, some hesitations or things like that caused him to get the injuries that he did, because he was trying. I don't know. I really don't know, but I just really hope that it doesn't happen, because I want him to have, like, a sustained long run, especially if this is close to, if not, like it's got to be a really good one. I hope the best for him, because we all want it, and I know he wants it.
I think that there is going to be a lot of crossover, and I think this might be telling for how Tony Khan is going to be playing the relationship between AEW and Ring of Honor to begin with. I think that we're going to have a ton of crossover. Fuck, we just had FTR win the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. So
Yeah.
we're starting there. Like, I can see Gresham being more of an AEW guy, and I can see Joe beating Gresham for the Ring of Honor Championship and pretty much holding that brand down as they do the relaunch of this whole thing.
And that would be a really smart thing to do. And because again, if he is just purely all elite and an AEW, one, you didn't need to premiere him there. I guess.
And realistically, you don't need him, because you've got too many fucking people to begin with. What do you do with Joe if there's not enough TV time?
Like, let him carry that. Let on his shoulder, like, because if that fire is there, like we're saying, he wants it. He wants that opportunity. Like, just let him do it.
I can also see him over time being involved behind the scenes with Ring of Honor and basically taking some of the load off of Tony's back. But I can also see Joe being like the legit authority figure on screen for Ring of Honor, because that would just make sense.
It would make sense. I mean, he can do it all. I mean, we've seen he can wrestle. He has a good promos. He's actually good on the mic when he's actually announcing. He can do a lot.
I think obviously not this year, because it's like next week or something. But what if a year from now we're looking at a battle of the belts with Ring of Honor versus with Ring of Honor versus AEW, and you have Samoa Joe as Ring of Honor World Champion and CM Punk as AEW World Champion.
Yep. That
is the money that does like do it. Like, it's easy. Yep. And you know what? Even if it's not Punk, you've got plenty of others to work with as well with the legacy, and even an up, you could, so many young guys that you could work with that. So that's how you slide Joe in and out, is that occasionally that, like, maybe the Ring of Honor Championship is defended on a AEW pay-per-view, for instance, or something like that. I think that's a good move. That's the way I'm looking at it.
I like it.
Again, I haven't seen the whole pay-per-view, but I heard nothing but great things from the FTR Briscoes match.
It's amazing.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
After this.
I have seen like the post match reaction and stuff, and it's come out that like there was no like handshake plan. That was just like, if you haven't seen it, they FTR, after winning the belts, they're the ones that put the belts on the ground.
So they walk over to the corner, lay them down on the ground in front of them, and fucking shake hands,
give them a handshake,
give them mad props.
And
it's awesome, and they all hug, and then they bring the AAA belts too. Yep. You can tell it looks like there was one awkward moment. It looks like the Briscoes like think that they're all going to stand hard cam and all raise their hands, like one holding a belt, and it didn't happen, which I think was kind of great, because it made me be like, FTR are some badasses, like
But it's also like FTR have never wrestled in that system. And they also and they did something that is so Ring of Honor that like, yeah, we're gonna fight to the death essentially in
And
the
then
ring
we are
between bell
going,
to bell, but we're
but
gonna
then we're
shake
gonna
hands and
show
we're gonna
love.
and
Yep.
yeah. So I think it did a lot, just if nothing else, than to solidify the I guess the ethos, or just like, yeah, the thought process behind what Ring of Honor was is still there, and that's going to be kept alive. And that to
Yeah.
me was, and I'm not the biggest Ring of Honor fan. Like that, I didn't watch this. I watched that in retrospect. I didn't watch it while it was happening. But it certainly gave me hope, especially for those diehards, that, and I'm sure it did them, that, hey, maybe this is in good hands, and we can move, forward with it.
I will also say the Young Bucks, when they came in, then they got on the mic.
Yeah.
So it's like so cheesy to the point of like him name dropping like TBS and Dynamite. It's like cringe to the point that you're like, oh, it's such heel cringe too. You're like, this actually works because it's like so heel cringe.
We're
even
gonna
though
fight you on TBS.
On TBS, yeah. And I was like,
yeah.
It's heel cringe. Like, I'll give you that, but it was awkward for a second. Then I was like, no, I'll give in.
Nah.
I'll give in. I'll let it be storyline.
And it had, I mean, if it's anybody, it's the Bucks, right? It's the Bucks, and I can't wait for it. Like, that's gonna be FTR Bucks 2 has a lot left to be desired. Bucks 1, FTR Bucks 1 wasn't as great as we thought it would be.
Nope.
They're gonna make up for that.
Dude, I think they're probably going to give them like the first hour or something.
They might do that. That's one of the reasons that I know one of our possibilities for doing the show this week might have been tomorrow on Wednesday. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I need to actually be watching this one live, and yeah, it's part of my reasoning for it. So that being said, let's move on to
more wrestling
Mania Night 1. We're officially at the beginning of WrestleMania. What a kickoff show. So many matches, so much entertainment. I mean,
I didn't want it to end.
I
didn't even want the show to actually kick off.
I wanted more video packages. I felt like,
I wanted to see them. I wanted to see them a second time, and then I wanted to see them a third time during WrestleMania.
Well, thankfully you did, because WrestleMania was,
dude, that's fucking WWE's thing. Any pre-show, they show you the same fucking package.
They've gone over the top with it though this year. I read some stat that it was basically if you were to look at the amount of actual wrestling time, it's something like 30% or 25% of the whole entire evening. Compared with video packages, and if you're including the kickoff show, which had no matches. I wish they would stop doing that. Jake Paul was on the kickoff show, was obnoxious. He looks like a SoundCloud rapper.
Yep.
Don't like him. There was a reference on the kickoff show to the Briscoes by name.
Yep, by name.
And throughout them boys. Which I thought was interesting. I don't think probably many people, casual fans would have caught that, or it would have meant anything. There was some YouTube kid being all lazy, and I don't know what was going on with half the kickoff show. But when we got to the main show, we got opened by the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, who I was a fan of. I thought that was a quality way to open it, especially in Dallas.
That had to have been the thing when you were a kid, right?
I mean, I was a Brit, but even when I got over to the state,
true.
Even when I got over to the state,
like Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders that's like the epitome of cheerleading.
I definitely had friends at a young age that when I went around to play with my wrestling figures or video games at a friend's house, they might have had a Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders poster up in their room, like that type of thing, like that was definitely, they were looked at as I mean, they're the best of the cheerleaders. They are. They are. That's what they are.
What'd you think of the set? The WrestleMania set.
I liked it, but it's like every WWE set. It's sort of just like, okay, cool, big screen.
Yeah.
You know, I like the star thing. Like, that was cool for Dallas, all that. But was it... I mean, it wasn't... I wish they would just do more... I don't know. Just more inventive sets. Like, it felt a little bland to me. I'm not gonna lie, but it served its purpose. Like, it looked great on TV. It looked grandiose. It did everything it needed to do. So I can't knock it for that.
It 100% did. I ended up having the thought, which I've never really thought about before, but like, what is the meeting like, right? Where whatever group of people, artists, individuals are pitching different ideas for the sets, like, I would love to see the set ideas, the concepts that right? Like, that would be so interesting to me. I had that thought and I was like, I've never thought about that. Like, I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall, like, in that meeting and like hear the pitches and like hear, you know, but like at the end of the day, I would also just as a fan, just like be like, oh, here were other options, but they would never release those because people would be so brutal and being like,
yeah, because they would like, you should have gone this one or whatever. Yeah,
which is whatever, but it would just be interesting to me. I don't know.
No, I completely agree with you. I was very surprised and interested that the first match out of the gate was Shinsuke Boogs in basically Mike's Hard Lemonade gear.
Yeah, dude. It was on his gear. It was on his guitar. It was like on the mic. Like,
were you like me with this match? I'm like, oh fuck. Like it actually, I was scared for WrestleMania when I saw all this because of all the Mike's Hard Lemonade branding. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is not a great way to open up WrestleMania.
They're gonna brand everything, right? That, it almost set the table for everyone to think that.
Well, now they clearly are moving forward with the on the barricades, like they have a LED on the corners
where it's rounded now, so they have the LEDs.
Yeah. That's going to be happening more and more and more, and they're going to be throwing...
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Like, it's the same as the transition from the old bike rack to the gray barricade or whatever it was, the black barricade. So it really doesn't bother me that much. You watch a New Japan match, it's full of advertising all over their fucking ring. So it doesn't really, like... that doesn't... I don't care about that. But the fact that it crept into clearly their gear, clearly, like, the match, clearly, like, this... like that was a little bit like, match wasn't terrible. I feel like you got a little bit of more fire than you usually get from Shinsuke. It was all going so great for Boogs until it didn't.
Yeah, until it didn't.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch it live, I'm being honest. Maybe I was just like, just in WrestleMania, like, blinders on or whatever, but I definitely didn't think it was like a legit injury until they said it later. That's my fault. And I really do hope that guy gets better quick.
I mean, it happened really quick too.
Yeah, and it's kind of
and he was
a dumb spot. It's a dumb spot.
Like, it was a dumb spot. He had already had that whole thing with, like, so it, like, kind of played into it. I don't know. It just seemed like.
Did you hear what he said today or yesterday about it? He said something that. Okay, essentially,
it's not strong, or his quad is
too strong for his tendon, so it snapped.
Yeah.
Great response. I love that.
It is great.
Total kayfabe bullshit, but it's
but I love it.
But I love it. I love it. Get that man back in, and when he comes back, he strap that dude to, like, the U.S. or IC title or something, because Boogs can carry a belt, and I think that
he'll do something with Ezekiel.
No, we'll get there later. That's gonna be for after the break. Apparently, I miss Sad Corbin because that was the next match. Obviously, the Usos won the first one, but I miss Sad Corbin. Like, I want Sad Corbin to come back, and I'm hoping that after this match that maybe we get a little Sad Corbin. Drew Corbin was exactly what I thought it would.
I mean, we've seen it.
How many times now? Exactly.
Yeah.
Drew's a heel now,
Cool.
Well, I think he should be, or he is, because he's just like ruining WrestleMania for everyone else, chopping down ropes with his sword. Like that's
true.
very rude, in my opinion.
Yeah, I did see people tweeting about that, and they're like, oh great, it's gonna be down for like 30 minutes because they got to redo the. I was like, you really do not think WWE fucking like knows what they're doing when it comes to fucking building a ring and like making that spot happen and then fucking changing the ropes real fucking quick during the next video package? I was like, people were like getting upset about it. I was like, chill out.
We've seen him do the old switcheroo back in the day from purple rope to yellow rope or whatever,
they
like with the CWC.
And then they would pull the tape off.
Yeah, and change the ring curtain. They do that shit in like 2.5 minutes. Like it's fine.
Give them more credit.
They can run a full set of ropes. I bet you they could run a full set of ropes in 5. Like I'm not even kidding. Yep. They probably could. That being said, I hopefully this is dead, right? Like this is done. Drew, everything to do with Baron Corbin, and
I just don't know what you do with Drew now unless you actually like put him.
I think he's going to be the first one to lose to Roman for the unification.
That's what I was thinking. He's going to fucking go.
Yep.
Yeah. They're going to feed him to Roman.
I feel like that's exactly what they're going to do. I feel like I made this little note. Drew McIntyre needs new music.
Yeah.
He needs new music. The whole bagpipe thing is
not doing it.
It's not gonna do. There were. There were some. It was a better match than I expected it to be, but nothing that were like 2 matches in. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is a WWE WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
Like we're here we are. And then the Logan Paul Miz match happened. That was the next match.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it, but they made me care about this in their entrances.
They did, and Logan Paul did fucking way better than I ever thought.
He's
that he
phenomenal.
Was going to.
That dude has everything that
in all honesty, looking at the things that he's done, whether or not I know it was an exhibition thing with him and Floyd Mayweather and shit,
right.
It kind of proves that the dude, if he puts his mind to something, is like gonna be pretty much okay at it, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not the best in the world, but like he's gonna go and he's like doesn't seem like he really half-asses.
No, he's gonna do it.
I think in the wrestling ring, he proved that. Like he wasn't gonna show up and just like be some like, oh, I was a YouTuber. I did, like
you could tell by his gear. The gear was even like spot on. Who like that was fucking dope.
Have you heard like Pat McAfee talking about his ring gear? Like, so
no.
He was saying that. So he was saying like he showed up. He was like, I'm just gonna wear like the black tank top and black jeans, like, and he's like. And I showed up and I saw like night one, like everyone and all of their different things. And he's like, and Logan Paul's gear was so dope and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I feel bad now. I read a whole article about it where he's like talking about the seamstress and like that he went to go like that's back there. And he was like, can you do something? And she was like, yeah, let's get you WrestleMania'd up and like got him something for the next night, like with what he wanted to do. But he did mention Logan Paul's gear. And I was like, yeah, he fucking pulled that off. Especially with like a $5.2 million fucking Pokemon card around his neck.
I heard 6 point something, but whatever. Who knows? Who cares? I made the comment that, well, Logan Paul looks like way more of a pro wrestler than Dominic Mysterio has ever looked to me. So. Yeah, I'm glad I called that. It sounds like we're gonna have Logan Paul sticking around for some more matches. Obviously, probably a one-on-one with Miz at some point soon. Probably SummerSlam. Who knows?
Yep.
And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it
too.
WWE's got to do some of this stuff. So
he didn't annoy me as much as I thought he was going to.
No.
Like the fact that he took it seriously and actually like showed it, like. It's like I can take that character and like or whatever and like present it like knowing that you're gonna actually put on a good match.
it's dumb that apparently it was in his contract and this is why the Miz turned on him after the match. Apparently it's in his contract that he wants to be a face, so that he had to be turned into a face at the end of the match. So Miz will be working heel and he'll be working face during that feud. I think that's a massive mistake. I think that he's such a natural heel that it But you know, if that's what he wants to do, we maybe if anybody can make it work, the Miz is a great heel, so the Miz can make it work, and I I'm gonna be interested in seeing what they do moving forward with that. Apparently, then, I can't remember. I would have forgotten about this. Stephanie, I put this in my notes. Stephanie came out and said things. Then Gable Steveson came out and waved.
It was so bad. I could have given two shits about when that happened.
So that happened.
And the crowd actually didn't seem to care either. Next
up was Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. Some are saying the best match of WrestleMania Night 1. Not mine personally. I think it was second. I've heard a lot of people giving this match super, super high praise. When I watched it, I'm just going to be honest here. It didn't connect with me.
And it was like a B.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it
wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing.
I felt Becky was really. I have this in my. I'll just read my notes verbatim because this is the just like, train of thought.
Yeah.
Becky looked off. Weird entrance for Bianca, which people have also been praising her entrance. I'm like, kind of just weird. Like, I don't know, the marching band thing didn't really, I don't know, it was weird. Okay match, good finish. Becky should go away for a bit. Those were my initial thoughts on it. Becky was sloppy. Becky got her with that. Of course, she got her with that, drop kick thing, which caught Bianca's eye, and she's got the black eye right now, because of it.
Yeah.
Which was enhanced for sure for Raw last night.
Oh, definitely, for sure. There was some makeup on there.
But she does have a puffy fucking, swollen eye. So and you can see the spot where it happened. Like, it was pretty obvious. I just didn't think they've wrestled so many times before. The connection something wasn't clicking for me. It didn't look fluid. It didn't look like a real fight though either. Like, I don't need things to look like a choreographed thing, but it didn't look like something was off for me, and I don't know how to explain it. I might have to just watch this one back because I've heard so many people say it was the match of the night, and I don't know that I agree.
So I've not heard match of the night. But I also haven't looked at a lot of grades and ratings.
Sure.
But
it's either coming in at number 1 or number 2 for most people's picks for match of the night.
Yeah. And I'm not sure. It's just like, it was like a B for me. Like I said, it wasn't anything like major. It wasn't anything great. It just wasn't.
It certainly wasn't bad. It certainly wasn't bad.
I did realize yet again, do you think Becky has a fetish for like getting her gear to ride up her ass and show us her ass?
I'm okay with it.
I know, but like, it happens all the time. I'm like, how has no one said change that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it happens every time. I'm not mad at it.
No, I'm not. I'm not mad at it either.
But if that's what I'm talking about for the match, maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. But it was a B. It was what it was. It wasn't.
So one of the things that was hard about this too, especially if you're Bianca, is Becky is so over as the heel that they want to cheer for Becky. That's like gonna be tough. I think Bianca's gonna be a great champion this second time around. I think that
I had doubts last night, like with her speed, like when she was doing I had my doubts.
I almost wonder if you just literally have Montez be the fucking mouthpiece for her. Have him still wrestle, but basically be in her corner as her husband and be the mouthpiece. Because he can do it.
Yeah. They've done it a lot of other times. That some people have been in there. Yeah.
That's just a thought of mine.
Husband wife team. Okay.
Moving on. Now we get to it. Next match, which I think was my match of the night. And I was surprised at how good it was. And this one will probably take longer than any match to discuss. But yes, the return of the prodigal son. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Rhodes is actually in the WWE. I didn't believe it until the music hit. What about you?
I wasn't sure. They did a good job, especially with like Bray saying he had been in Dallas and like the lights going out, and like they did a good job kind of making you wait for a second too. But yeah, no, it happened.
And I'm just gonna say it. Please, add your input after, but I don't know that they could have done it any better. It literally was about as perfect as you can do Cody Rhodes re-debuting in AEW as the American Nightmare. I don't know that you could have done that any better. And the perfect opponent. Everything was good. It felt like a Ring of Honor match to me. That was not a WWE match. That was a real wrestling match. That was not sports entertainment. That was a wrestling match. And Cody went there to do this. And that's why I guess I'm saying, like, right at the top of the show, I asked you, are you, as encouraged by the direction of WWE as I am currently? And this is why. Like, they actually listened. They actually did something right. Now, does this keep up?
Yeah, we've seen Vince get very tired of new toys very quickly. In that caliber, how does that fit then on like weekly TV?
This is what's gonna be interesting. I was impressed that he got, every bit of the package, right? Like from the Nightmare stuff to the music to the Cody Vader, which looked great at WrestleMania. But if you see it on him come out on the promo for last night's Raw, the Raw after Mania, well, of course they didn't have enough room underneath the stage, so they had to build Cody a little box. So Cody had to come out of a box on top of the stage and then walk down a little rampy thing, and that looked like shit. They need to not ever do that again, and basically have just Cody come out normally, unless it's a pay-per-view and you can give him one of the big four and major event match, then you throw the Cody Vader in there. That's what you do with that. There's so many things to talk about. The match was hard-hitting. It was, and they looked beat up. Cody had a real big knot on his fucking head.
His forehead, yeah.
And I was, they did have me guessing to the end, even though I think we all, deep down,
there was no way,
right.
Once he showed up, there's no way he's losing.
Exactly. But they did still, suspend the disbelief enough to once or twice be like, oh, wow, Seth got in some good offense here. And it was a nice back and forth. It was a really quality match. I think it's nice that it was Seth. Seth was one of Dusty's boys. I think that plays into the story.
Yep.
And or Dusty's kids, as they've called it, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. And following through with that, like all of the backstage stuff afterwards with Cody, and all of like the explanations, and all of what we've seen with post scrums, and even then with Seth coming out last night on Raw, seemingly to maybe start shit, but just to basically smile, laugh like the Joker idiot character he is, and shake his hand and say welcome home. All of it plays nicely into the narrative, and I'm really stoked with what they're doing with it. And it was my as much as I loved what came in the, of course, main event of Mania. this was my favorite moment of Mania because it led me into what will come. And it got my mind going of what they could possibly do. We'll probably save some of that for the second segment. But overall, are you as, I guess, stoked on the Cody return or debut or whatever you want to call it as me?
I'm not.
Not. I could tell, yeah.
I'm not.
What's the feeling then?
I just feel like it's going to break down. And
Really?
I don't know if it's going to be him and them wanting to do creatively booking him differently, whether it's soon or sometime down the road, and he's not going to want it, and it's going to end up like I just feel like it is set to.
Do you think it's
or if he gets what he wants, whatever the fuck, what do you do after that? Like, I just don't like. I don't know. It just.
Do you okay? Right now, you go to see Cody Rhodes at a WWE show, or not go to see Cody Rhodes. You go to a WWE show. Cody Rhodes come out. Are you booing or are you cheering him?
I mean, I'll probably cheer because the crowd is, but I'm not like
not that stoked. You're not that stoked.
Not that, yeah.
That's what's I guess different is because I thought I would want to boo him. Especially after the AEW thing, maybe calling him a hypocrite, all these things that are easy to call him. And I don't. Like, I feel completely the opposite emotion. I'm super happy for him. I'm super, like, I understand it. Like, I get why he would want to do this. I think the explanations have been fantastic. I think they're setting a story up, like, very fantastically if they really do it right.
I guess it could be. I'm not. So I'd like to make it clear. I'm not like I want to boo him. Like I'm not happy for him or anything. It's just like I kind of don't care. Like that. Like I'm more like I have like a general malaise about it. Like just kind of like because there's been so much talk about it and like all you know what I'm saying. Like all of these things where I'm just like okay, and then I hope it really works out and they make me grow out of that general malaise. Because like I say, I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. I'm not hating on it. I'm like I said, I would cheer over the option of the two, right? Like when I'm at a show, right? And I'm not, like I said, not happy for him. I don't think it wasn't a great wrestling match between him and Seth. I don't think that the pop was there. Like everything was, but it like for some reason I have this like general malaise still with Cody where I'm like,
Is it?
I don't know what it is. It's not like a WWE, AEW. It's not like
I wasn't saying that. Do you, the one thing I guess I'm trying to qualify my thoughts. The one thing I do have the worry for is was this just a one-time really good match that he got to do the one time, and how will the matches progress from this point?
So that's what I said when I said like how does that translate to weekly TV?
Right.
Like because like you can have those matches, like is he just allowed to have those matches on pay-per-views, and like do we just get him talking a bunch all the time on weekly TV, or like is he going to wrestle, and is it that caliber of match, or is he then like, is there going to be a huge difference? Which maybe I will like, or maybe I'll just tune in for the bigger matches, or you know, who knows? Or maybe he does start a change, right? Like, which would be great, where you do have a little bit more of a harder style, right? Like, and not everyone in WWE has to do it, and maybe they start letting people just go a little bit more, you know, just touches over,
take a little bit more of a risk.
So there is a positive.
It's interesting because
come out of it too.
It's interesting too because I thought about this as well. Like, would I have been as impressed with that Seth Cody match if it was in AEW, or because it's in WWE? And of course the grandiose factor of WrestleMania adds to it, but just the match itself, like you just look at the match itself. I think I was more just impressed because I'm watching WWE programming, and that's not something you see. You're not
Yeah.
you're not seeing that hard hitting style. You're not seeing some of those moves. So that might have played into it too. I will be I'm like all of us. We're so interested to see where it goes. He's and again, we'll talk about this
I'll
after the
definitely
break.
be paying attention and watching. Like I'm
Right.
not like I'm not like so yeah.
It
That'd be
made me
clear
tune
too. Like
into
I'm
it made me
I'm
tune into
definitely
Raw live for
exactly.
the first time in a very long time, and apparently they put those shirts on sale at Access, the Access store that they had. It's not a full Access this year; it's like a mini Access at WrestleMania weekend. So obviously they couldn't put those shirts on sale on Saturday, so they put them on sale first thing on Sunday, all sold out.
Yep.
So it's working, and I'm interested just to see where this whole saga goes. From that point on, though, we had Ronda Charlotte. Not a fan of this match, gonna be honest.
Nope.
Not a fan. It was a real big letdown, but it was probably the right place to put it in the card because it was always going to be a letdown, no matter where it was. Gonna be
And
hard.
also, I will echo the sentiments that you and Duncan talked about on the last podcast when you
Yeah.
were doing predictions. Ronda Rousey does not look like
Doesn't
she's
care.
having a good time.
No, she does not care. Is not having a good time. I know she disputed some of the rumors that she kind of walked off when she found out she wasn't the main
It can
event.
also be damage control. Who knows?
But
whatever.
I can kind of believe some of those rumors just a tad. And then we got a trip back to 1997, 1998. I don't know. Man, oh man. It was great. I mean, this was as WrestleMania of a WrestleMania main event as you could possibly have, right? Like
it got me. Did it get you? Because I think we had talked about, and obviously I wasn't able to be on the two podcasts leading up to Mania that you and Duncan did, but I listened to them. But I know that you and I had spoken too about it, and even you and Duncan and I had spoken about it on a podcast previously.
Sure.
And where my head was at was like, that's a huge fucking legacy. He doesn't want to tarnish that legacy. He doesn't, but dude, when it actually went, and also I was wondering after he came out and he did his thing and then he was sitting there, I was just kind of like, where is this going? Right. I was like, eventually there's a stunner in here. And I was like, but he's just sitting there like, and he came out, when I saw that he came out with both knee braces on and pads, and like, I was just like, fuck, he's going to do a little bit of work. Right. And dude, it took him a second, like, to get in, but when he was still doing, like, it was Stone Cold doing his fucking punches, like the whole movement, like
his knees looked like it when he was doing the digging a mud hole, like
that wasn't as great, but
those were a little that stiffened the sense of the wrestling term of being hard, but they were stiffened, like his knees looked stiff as hell as he was trying to kick. But it seemed like he got better as the match went on, and then he's 57, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's 57. Taking and you had a broken neck, bro. Like you had,
dude, on the outside.
On the outside, on the concrete, you took a suplex from Kevin O. Like, okay. I'm glad that you did it. I'm happy. Don't ever do that again, please. Please don't ever do that again. And this is what scares me.
Yeah, he's 57.
We all knew when the match started that Kevin Owens would be losing the match. Like, this is not a surprise. Like, everything that Stone Cold did, he would, took it upon himself to, throw him on the ATV, carry him up the stairs or the ramp rather.
The spots.
He got everything was perfect, and it couldn't have been just more WWE, more WrestleMania, more Stone Cold. I'm just scared, man, because I got this weird feeling that this wasn't the last one.
It's gotta be. It's got to be. You got unless the only is, and you couldn't, because next year it's in Hollywood, which makes me think fucking The Rock, right?
So you definitely don't need him for that one, right?
No, you don't. But I don't know. But that has to be like, if that's like, let it be your bookend. Like that's
it should be.
Like
it should be.
It should be, like, because for all intents and purposes, it shouldn't have been as good as it was.
No.
Like and it was fucking great. I loved every second of it. I totally ate the whole thing up, and I think even with him saying like I started here in Dallas with my first match, like I'm ending it here, like, and even looking at some of the things said in interviews and stuff post, like he's like, I was just so blessed to even have, like, who would have thought 19 years later, like after retiring, like I was able to headline a WrestleMania, right?
No, it's like, 100%. I wrote one quote about it, and it's Stone Cold versus Stone Cold's knees was my first, thing. But then Steve Austin can feel really good about that. He should honestly disappear into the darkness and not ever do it again. I hope they don't tempt him with Saudi money or something stupid. Like, I hope that, and you got to think too, between the 2 nights of WrestleMania, and we'll get to the second one, after this.
You got all of the Stone Cold you needed, and we're going to get.
It's all you needed, and you got to think, man, how much money did how much beer has he been selling, like, recently?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So there's a little bit of that,
I even looked up, like, even before Mania to see if I could get it, and like where to get it anywhere around me, like, but it was because he did everything over the course of the 2 nights, right? We got every Stone Cold thing there was. I really, like, if you start doing it again and then again, like, it just doesn't work. Like,
it's gonna water it down, and it's not gonna mean anything like it just did.
Yeah. That just meant a lot to a lot of people.
It's our childhoods right there. Yeah. Our childhood was like bottled in a segment, and it couldn't have been. The only thing that would have made it better is if JR was on that desk, right? Like that would have been the only thing. Like
Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Yeah.
That's really about all that you could have done to make it work, but it did not make it work, but just make it, enhance it, and for fuck's sake, like, for a WrestleMania night 1 that we were all skeptical of even, like, having it, like, we were, I think, like, a lot of my friends, and you maybe included, were like, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna tune in, but it's just gonna kind of be there in the background. Like, it's like, this is not something I'm gonna watch as intently as, you would, like, at AEW Revolution or something like that. But they pulled it off. And they pulled off a extremely entertaining show. I can say I was sports entertained. And with that, are you cool with us taking a 10-minute quick break, because we got WrestleMania night 2 to get into, and then just a little bit of news. We'll try and get it to, try and make it quick, but guys, just hang out for just a little bit longer as we get into night 2, as we get into the rest of these, shenanigans. And of course, we thank you for listening to Ono Wrestling. Woo! Welcome back. We don't do this often, but this is the second segment of the Oh No Wrestling podcast. And I guess we're getting into night 2 of WrestleMania here. So, we got...
funny anecdote real quick, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I was going to say before we hit the break, I don't know if anyone will find this interesting other than you, but so you know that I didn't get to watch night 1. My whole idea was I had to go support a friend doing something, then it was like an hour-long thing, and then I was going to come back, right? So I ended up going out with my friend, old Kimbrough Slice, leading into that, and then we decided to just keep that train rolling for a little while.
Oh, you got into a little after party there, huh?
Yeah, it ended up like 2 a.m. We were each like, we had killed like 8 seltzers between the two of us after the bar, and like it's like 2 a.m. I was like, we gotta watch Stone Cold. Like totally put it on. Like made her watch the whole thing before she went home. And then that was all I watched that night, and then went to sleep so hungover the next day, which is why you did not get your Ring of Honor. I apologize. And so hungover. So them condensing WrestleMania into 2 nights did nothing for me because I spent all day watching night one.
It would have been better if it was a 12-hour show on night one I literally
laid on the couch and like watched the entire thing, and then I watched the entire thing, and then I had an hour break before the actual, not just the kickoff, but the actual night 2 started. Show. But luckily I had planned. I already like had got these like stuffed jalapenos and stuff like that, and like everything. Like I had like food and snacks and stuff. I just needed to get past that hangover. So like the second night, I was like, all right, here we go. Like I'm starting to feel good again. I was like, I got all my snacks and drinks. Like, all right, night 2, let's go. But I did condense it into one day again.
See, like I got much to like the opposite degree than you. Like, usually I will schedule requests from work. I will make sure that I'm off on like a WrestleMania weekend type situation. This year I did not do that, so I was working, and it was the first year that I've had to like manage work and a WrestleMania weekend at the same time. So I was watching half the stuff at work. I was coming home like making sure Peacock, like I was calling Teresa, hey, make sure the Peacock's up, when I get home.
Hey, get the cock up for me.
Get the cock up for me. Yeah. And she was good about that, But anyway, we'll get back into it. WrestleMania Night 2, so it opens up with Triple H, and a nice, 10, 15 minute long waste of my time of Triple H. I mean, of course Triple H is deserving of a nice send off and all that type of thing, but it was a little egregious, like after the 18 video packages before it, to have Triple H come out and open WrestleMania.
Like if you're you just want to get things going at Mania, and I agree. Like obviously, Tripp's in very high regard, and I hate that because I think he had like 1 or 2 more matches he wanted to do, in him just before he was done, maybe. But like an actual
who would those matches be? Is there a Ciampa one he probably wanted to do? I mean, that might have been it.
That would actually be pretty good. Yeah, that would actually be pretty good.
Something like that probably would have fit. But at the end of the day, I know what you mean. And a nice touch with the boots in the ring, like doing that whole thing. I don't mind that at all.
It is, but I think that like, and I get it to open up WrestleMania, but like it didn't need to be as long as it was. It really didn't. If it was going to be that, it's almost like, and again, it doesn't do it right by Triple H's legacy to do it at the end of the kickoff, like leading in. But I think like once you say it's it was a long way, 15 minutes to get there, like at the beginning of WrestleMania, to say like, welcome to WrestleMania 2, like that sort of thing, kick everything off. Like people are there, they're ready to go. It's already been a long ass weekend of wrestling, right?
Yeah, and I think part of this is WWE's optics with Triple H as well. They wanted to make sure that he made an appearance, and this is my cynical side coming out, but I think that when it comes to investor calls and when it comes to like that type of thing, they wanted to show him like as much as they could. Look, he's still alive. He's okay. He's good. They wanted to kind of do that, and that's exactly what like they did. Again, I might be being extremely cynical when I talk about that, but it felt a little bit like that to me.
I agree. Real quick, going into night 2, what were you feeling going into night 2 after having seen night 1 and how great things were? And also, again, I'm gonna say I'm not trying to be a bummer about the Cody thing. I'm really not, because I am like I said, I am going to tune in. I am paying attention. Like I'm not like there is just this like something's holding me back from going all in on it right now.
I get it. To answer your question, going into night 2, I felt like it's just this night 2 is almost going to be impossible to top night 1. And
pretty much.
I think I went in with that mindset, and I wasn't wrong. I don't think by what was delivered. Very good opening match, to be honest with you. It was that tag team match, triple threat tag team match. RK Bro, right?
Yep.
RK Bro winning. Yeah, RK Bro retaining.
Yeah, no, good match all around. I that was one where I was like, I'm gonna go so far out on this one, and I picked Alpha Academy.
Yeah.
Knowing that, but I don't know. But it was a good match all around.
Yeah, and it was interesting too with all our predictions. Had I known, I would have won like night one, right? All of my predictions would have changed
for night two.
From night two. Well, I won, stand and deliver to night one to night two. So all of it would have been different. I just got lucky and made some pretty honest, decent predictions. I thought Street Profits were going to win this. Clearly, they didn't. RK Bro is just so over that they decided to keep the belts on him, and it's the right call. It's the right call. They're killing it right now. Randy has never been so over as a face in his entire career. Let him run with it. I'm happy for him. Totally fine with it. It was a good match, and one. I wish they would have given maybe Alpha Academy a little bit more of a shine on this one, but I still think I don't think they looked bad, and I think they're in a good position moving forward, especially Chad Gable. What
did you think about the thing with Gable Stevenson?
Well, we'll get to that in just a second, but I did think that prior to that, they did a very good job of protecting Montez Ford in particular. Maybe not Dawkins as much, but Dawkins had a good showing, and I thought that the Street Profits didn't look bad in defeat, and Montez still looked like a goddamn stud and a goddamn future star like he should be. He had a hell of a WrestleMania moment with all of it. I'll say that after the match, of course, then with Gable Stevenson and Chad Gable, this is a great warm-up first feud for Gable Stevenson, and it sort of makes sense. And I think that both of them are going to get a rub out of it. So, quite frankly, I thought that it was the right. I think it was a good move. I don't know that you need to do it immediately, but this can like wait for a few more months. I don't think they will, but it could wait for a few more months until he's got a bit more training, and then they can like flash back to it, right?
Yep.
I have a feeling that we're going to see him real soon in a ring, probably a little green, and I hope they don't go that route. What they need to do with him is the hook route. Make it like so, oh my God, we've never seen this guy wrestle, and he already gets it. He's already fucking the guy. I'm not talking about the same character as Hook. That's not what I'm talking about. No. I'm talking about like the idea of, we haven't seen this guy. They've hyped him, and then when you finally see him, it's like, oh shit, I get it, right? Like that's what like this guy. That's why this guy's a big deal. If they do that, there's no better guy that they could have chosen for his first opponent than Chad Gable.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And both of their backgrounds, and they just right off the bat are also addressing what we were all were thinking and had talked about, like Gable Stevenson, Chad Gable. Like, their wrestling backgrounds, like it's, I don't know. I think it's good if done right. I agree that I hope they don't just throw him in there when he's too green and it ruins it, unless obviously he's a good actual wrestler, right? But like him translating to what needs to happen in the ring and telling the story and things like that, right? There's all these nuances in the art form of, professional wrestling, and maybe he's been working on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, there is, we could be surprised. I'm hesitant to say that that's actually there based on what we saw.
I didn't think his mic work and the way he handled himself in the ring, it had zero charisma to me.
There's no charisma. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. No charisma.
And if he needs to figure, if he can figure that part out, he's probably got the whole package. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out here. A lot of people said this should have been done for Chad Gable back in the day, but why not just throw fucking Kurt Angle at this problem and make him Gable Stevenson's mouthpiece and mentor and have him on the outside? That's how you do it. And
He
you
could
get
be another one of his kids.
Yep. And hey, why not? and then you can get I mean, hell, you just brought up a great point. What if you didn't do it with Kurt Angle and you did it with Jason Jordan? You had Jason Jordan. Was that his name? Jason.
Yeah, Jason Jordan.
Yeah. From Alpha Academy or Alpha. Now I forget. It wasn't Alpha Academy.
You can keep going.
Yeah. See, there's been so many variations I've forgotten. But back in NXT, of course, when Chad Gable was teaming with Jason Jordan, they were an amazing tag team. They had a lot of potential. But I know, still employed by the company. I know he's working as like a writer or a producer or an agent or something backstage. So what if you transition him into kind of being well, no, he wasn't a very good mouthpiece, though, was he?
Jason Jordan? No, he wasn't. He was a little green, too.
Okay, then you just do it the other way around. You have Chad Gable separate from Otis, and Chad Gable goes and becomes Gable Stevenson's mouthpiece. You could do it that way if you don't have Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
But all those things.
American Alpha.
American Alpha, clearly. Yes, thank you. I mean, I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's a new, fresh direction. You know, at least it's something for us to look forward to see what happens. I like it when there's something up in the air because that's what wrestling should be. It shouldn't be predictable, right? So that's what I'm liking about kind of this WrestleMania and the subsequent Raw after Mania. I'll say that I wasn't a very big fan of the next match in the fact that it was Omos, and Omos was in a match, and Omos should not ever be in a match on a main roster card for a long, long time. It's done. Like, the experiment has not worked just because there's nothing engaging. No, did you hear any fans at all into him in the slight? No one cares. You're big, you're lumbering, you're kind of dumb. And you suck at wrestling, and you're not even that charismatic. Like, he's got a little bit, but he does have a touch. Like, if he could get, he can make it work.
It's still not gonna go over, even if he was extremely charismatic. The fact that his moveset and what he does makes it look like he looks like a Great Dane that's in its teenage years. That's half puppy, half giant dog that's stumbling all over itself. Nothing it does is graceful, and granted, I don't know what it's, and a lot of big guys, generally, but I just feel like it works for a lot of other big guys and it's not quite working for him.
It's not. It might be too much too soon. I love that we both called Lashley, and I love that Lashley won, and I think that this is also a way to turn Lashley face after
and the crowd was popping for Lashley.
Yeah,
the Raw after Mania, they were popping for him too.
Yep, and spoiler alert, but obviously, MVP turned on Lashley to then, align with Omos. I guess that's the new direction for him. But who do you have Omos and MVP against? It doesn't.
I don't know, but good thing he has that mouthpiece.
Oh, he needs that. I mean, MVP.
He needs that. I just don't know what you do with it. But
I don't know what you do with it. I don't know that they know what they do with it. If I'm them at this point, why not just reform the Hurt Business, but without Bobby Lashley, and Omos is there? That's what you do with it, because at least that way you can throw him in 6-man tags, and that way you can he can be you can disguise him a little bit as just being he's more of the big heater that comes in while the other two workers do all the work. That would probably work for
me. Hurt Business 2.0.
Don't continue on this road of almost trying to be a single star, because it's just not going to work. And again, who do you put him against if you do that? If you go that route, we're gonna have an almost Roman match? That sounds great. like, moving on. How did you feel about the Jackass match? The Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn.
It was everything I could have wanted. It was fun, man. Like, it was exactly what it was going to be. And I'm not mad at any portion of it.
Me neither. They didn't advertise it. That really, we knew as wrestling fans what we were gonna get, and they told us exactly from the get-go what it was. And they did, and they delivered better than I thought they could. Honestly, they had tricks up their sleeve. The mousetrap looked dumb. I will say that the big mousetrap.
Even the foot kicking, because neither of them worked right away.
No.
He actually, but whatever. It was what it was. It's of course, it was going to be what it was going to be.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one iota, and it also doesn't. Somehow, Sammy is impervious to being buried.
He's gonna come back and be fine.
It's not gonna matter one bit. Nope. It's
I think because he goes so in on these, he puts his all into these types of everything that he does when he's doing the documentary thing, thing, he goes all in on the storyline and the character and everything, to the point that you just know when he comes back it's going to be Sammy entertaining.
You know how, okay, here's an interesting thing. So Jericho's obviously got the new Jericho Appreciation Society in AEW, where he's calling himself he's a sports entertainer, not a professional wrestler. Now, clearly those two things are very close. Some people lean more one direction than the other. Once upon a time, we would have lent in the direction of Sami Zayn being a pro wrestler. That was what he was best at, and he still is. But what he is now, and what he is a sports entertainer now.
Yep.
And quite frankly, he's just as good at that as he is at the wrestlings. So I just gotta hand it to him.
37, 34, 37. What is he?
I think he. Yeah, I want to say Sammy's a couple years older than me, so I think he's 37, something in that.
37. I feel like he's my age, and I'm 37. So, I mean, he's, no sense done, but he's getting up there. So I think leaning into that being a sports entertainer and him being good at it works, right?
Absolutely. Why not transition your career into that eventually? Because you're going to have to do more of that.
Yeah, he's 37. He's 3 weeks before me. Yep.
You know what's a crazy one that I just sort of realized today? I might have heard it before, but I didn't realize that Asuka is 40.
Really? I didn't realize that either.
I would have put her way younger, and I texted this to our good friend, the King of Bong Style, Duncan, earlier in the day, and he's like, well, yeah, she's Asian. She's going to be 40 for 3 more years, and then she will be 80. And then and he's not wrong. That's I don't know if I should say that. But Wee Man with his power slam was also amazing. I gotta throw it out.
Very reminiscent of Hulk Hogan and Andre.
Dude, the full stretch and everything.
Dude, he had him up there. That was impressive. I was I also, when he did that, I was like, are you even big enough to do that?
I don't know.
I just don't know how that worked.
The physics of that are very much kind of that pinpoint when you're trying to balance something on you're finding that exact balance point. That had to have been done a little bit prior. They had to he had to have picked him up a couple of times. Where exactly do I pick up?
Yep.
But I loved it all the same. Probably didn't need anything to do with this match being on the card, really, but then we had the women's tag team thing.
Yeah. I will say the BDSM Rhea and Liv did things.
Yeah. Carmella needs to ditch that mask gimmick thing
She
that
does.
she's
It's
got
so
going.
weird.
I don't
So
like
weird.
don't like that at all.
Like Silence of the Lambs or something. It's really weird.
I did really like the finisher though from Banks and Naomi. The way they kind of like tie that, like it was a really cool.
That's
It was a cool looking finisher, and that might have some legs. That team, like that's, I don't know. That's just kind of, I'm intrigued. I think it's. A lot of people were saying like, "Hey, you need to get a belt on Liv because the fans are so behind her." But the same could be said for both Sasha and Naomi. And I think this was actually.
And I think the fans are going to be behind Liv for a little bit, no matter what.
No matter what, because she is an underdog.
Yeah.
Obviously we're going to be having like Rhea turn on Liv or one or the other. Like they're going to split.
Yeah.
And the obvious thing would be to say, well, Rhea will destroy Liv. But no. What needs to happen is that they actually need to turn that into a feud amongst themselves. Rhea doesn't need to go on to anything else. Rhea needs to fight Liv for a while. Rhea needs to turn full fucking heel. And Rhea needs to have, basically, she needs to have Liv beat her. So that you can elevate Liv. If they do that, then I'm cool. So some of this might have had more of a plan down the road than I'm giving it credit. Or maybe I'm giving it too much credit. I don't know. But I don't mind Sasha and Naomi with those belts. I think they will probably be somewhat entertaining, and I just hope they can do something with that division.
I think it's good that it gets like Naomi back kind of up into that status, right?
More than
like
anything,
where
it's that.
Where she needs to be and where like they need more variety, right? So I think it works, and I think it's going to help more establish her more, now that she's back full time. So I think it's going to end up being a good thing. I mean, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Next thing we got was AJ and Edge, but AJ decided to Goldberg himself or something behind this backstage.
So it was. Have you seen the video?
I haven't seen the video. No.
It's when he was coming out, so someone was filming it from like right there on their phone. It's when it wasn't the pyro, but it was when he was walking out from underneath the star. He hit his head.
He hit the head on the star, the point of the star.
The bottom, when he's walking out.
Oh,
from the
AJ!
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it! See, people have said multiple things. Like someone said it was like the pyro or something. Like
I think Meltzer said it was pyro, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't. It's what
you can see the video because he comes
hits
out
his head.
Like you could. Yeah, you can see it.
That's funny. Oh, AJ. If you don't know what we're talking about, when he's coming out for his entrance, he's already got a gash on his face and he's bleeding, and he can't do anything about it because he's already through the curtain. So it's like, what do you do at that point? He probably didn't even know like that there was blood on his face.
Told him.
Yeah. He probably didn't even know when he got into the match. He's probably like, oh, I just bumped into things.
Yeah.
I'm married to Styles.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of wish they would have just played into it a little bit. Like there should have been something because of what happened later in the match with the Damian Priest Edge sort of like coming together, distracting. Like maybe like they should have just quickly when AJ got back there or something, like, or have Damian like shoot something backstage where it's like he maybe just like pushed AJ into something, right? Like, or just kind of like roughed it, like got him right before he went out. Like just to, that would have been so cool for the story. Yeah, I know, like it was an accident. He hit his face. But if you could have done something like that to make that accident actually play into the story, like that to me was where it was going. Like I could kind of tell it was, like you can tell a wound, like a blade from an actual wound, right? Like, so you can tell this was like, what did AJ do to himself? Like, what the fuck? Like, that wasn't like an.
Well, he's not gonna blade on his way down to the
exactly
ring.
like
when Edge isn't even in there,
right? And I did find it all like a little bit just like weird, but I'm like, oh, it would be so cool if they could. I don't know, incorporate it in some way. Maybe I'm just asking way too much of Michael Cole, but it felt like there was an easy way to do that. The match itself, this was another one that I felt this match was fine.
I had higher hopes for it.
I think I had higher hopes for it too. I found it a little dull. I found it a little bland. It got going and it had some great moments, but it wasn't. It might have just been too long.
It was pretty long.
Yeah.
It was definitely pretty long. I mean, it was good. It had its moments. I don't think we needed. Yeah, there were just too many setups for like styles clashes and like.
But it also feels like it's one of those that like doesn't have any consequences coming with it. Like, I don't understand now why we've got, we've got this new stable. Obviously, Damian Priest came out aligned with Edge after the match. And now on Raw, we've got AJ Styles coming out and basically being like, oh, we're continuing this. And now it's going to be him and Damian Priest next Monday.
Yeah, there's no need to contend. I feel like
this is
you could have just made it
the
new stable, and just gone with that, and let AJ go on to do something else.
So I don't know why AJ stuck with this. It's not, to me. This is a poor use of AJ, and it's a poor use of like developing a new stable because they don't need an immediate opponent. You can just build a stable and do promos for a few weeks. Then you can like say like this is our target, blah blah blah. Like that's how this shit works.
Yep.
I feel like because that would be more interesting. You're sacrificing 2 lambs, rather than even one by doing it the way that they're doing it. I don't know why. Because there's no benefit for AJ coming out the victor either. So he has to lose.
Yeah.
And so he's going to lose to Damian Priest. I guess it's just to make Priest look strong. Is that what they're... And then we run with that as a thing. I've heard rumor now, too, that like Rhea Ripley might be joining that stable. Okay. Don't know why that would be. That doesn't make any... I feel like you can throw someone else in there, but it has to be the right person. Again,
throw Finn in there.
I feel like Finn could work.
Anything.
Finn can work. Absolutely, Finn can work. I said Ciampa earlier. Like that would be the main choice for me, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whatever. It was a match. It happened, and then we got a stable out of it. So that's the thing. Crowd was pretty dead. It was a bad build. Those are just also my notes. Taker comes out, and he's rude and won't go away again. He comes out, and he did a thing.
Had to do his full side to side, both sides, then the center for the second time.
That is literally my note. Taker is rude and won't go away. That's my night. We're getting to the end of night 2, folks. So, like, my notes get a little bit more snarky as I get drunker. Austin saving the day. So I go, oh no, we got Vince has old man shoes was my first one. He had the old man.
He does.
Did you notice the old man shoes?
I did.
Yeah. Old man shoes on, and then Austin saved the day. That whole segment was just, I mean, what even do you need to say? We had Pat McAfee.
I mean,
and
Pat
that
McAfee
match
was great during the match.
He was amazing.
I loved he was calling his own match. Like,
I'm a convert.
I love how invested Michael Cole was in it. Just that made it exciting too. But like he fucking and you could see when he came out, you could see he was really, because he's wanted that much. Like, imagine, like he was really taking it in. Like, holy shit! Like this is my. And
this is
I
happening.
don't know if you've like read or heard like him talking about it afterwards, where he's like, I didn't know what to do with my hands, almost like the Ricky Bobby thing, right? He's like, I didn't think about this enough, and I've been thinking about it my whole life.
I really wanted to dislike Pat McAfee when I first heard him, and I've given him a chance. I've listened to a bunch of interviews. I've listened to non-wrestling stuff of his, and he's a genuinely funny guy. He's an interesting character, and he's actually likable. Like
I think he's just like generally like happy and into
Yeah.
what he's doing, and like he's like
a jock,
generally
kind of like he gets that. He's got jock like douchey vibes at times. Yeah, he does.
yeah.
But none of it's unlikable. If he was in the room with you, you'd be wanting to like high five him and hang out with him. Like he is that guy, so it can't fucking knock it. And he's got an innocence about him as well. That's really just like he's got the whole thing. He's sort of wrestling. He might have like wasted a few years of his life being an NFL player. You know, he might have been better at just wrestling. And in the ring, he's a goddamn natural. He's clearly seen it, trained, and is an athlete that can do legitimate maneuvers. His sell of the stunner was pretty good. I'm glad he beat Austin Theory. People wanted to see Austin Theory get beat, maybe for a different time, but I don't know what the hell we're going to be doing with Austin Theory. Is that the run and it's done? Because sometimes that happens with Vince McMahon.
I mean, he's still saying that he's Vince's guy. Vince doesn't make mistakes. But, like, regardless, also Vince, man, he like looked confused as to, like, what was happening at times. He looked very confused, and it was like, you're not selling this at all, man. Like, you're not, like, even before Stone Cold came out. And it did click, like, finally, when, like, Pat McAfee won, and then Vince was like, and I was like, oh shit. I was like,
it's
Stone
happening.
Cold. I was like, they're going to give this crowd Stone Cold also.
As they kind of should, you know.
Yeah, they should.
For Dallas especially, you know, like
and you got the parts of Stone Cold, like we said earlier, that you didn't get on night one, like the whole with Vince, like that was another part of the nostalgia, right? Like you got the main parts of like Stone Cold and like all of the big things.
And people are obviously talking about the stunner not heard around the world, but or heard around the world. But
the fact that Stone Cold just laughed it off and was it like, dude,
he was cracking the fuck up. Like
he was like, "There's no saving that. It is what it is. Like, just laugh, be done." And he's like, and he probably says like, "And that's fucking Vince."
It's fucking Vince, exactly. And part of me thinks that Vince sort of like knew what he was doing too. He is that guy.
I don't know. He like looked so confused even before, like I said, like, and just the way that like it was too many. It was like a mistake. It was like a comedy of errors. That stunner, like the way he dropped to his knees and then got up and then fell back and then came forward and then like.
If he's still with it, that would be the Vince way of ribbing him though too. Like that would be.
But I don't think he would do that at Mania.
No, and it looked like it. Yeah, it didn't really look like that. I'm trying to give Vince some credit, I guess, but at the same time, people are bitching and moaning about the fact that Vince stunnered McAfee and pinned him, and it's like, no, that's fine. Like, no one's ever going to, like, we know what the deal is. Like, no one's ever going to be like, oh my God, McAfee's wrestling reputation is ruined. Like, get the fuck out of here. You don't.
Well, and also, I don't know, who knows how true it is. He said that he didn't even know that was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And the gifts of him on the outside too, like
with the beer,
drinking beer on the outside,
awesome.
while he's technically knocked out, but still drinking beer. Yeah, that's fantastic, and I couldn't have been more happy. The main event was interesting, and I'm still on the fence. Do you think Roman and Brock, with, you know, obviously Roman Brock, for the unification, whatever, undisputed, unification, universal, blah, 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 title. Do you think that Roman injury is legit or not?
I think it was legit. I just don't think it's as bad as it originally looked.
Yeah, it looked pretty gnarly. If you haven't seen the pictures of it, that thing was like, it was like a Well, it looked like to me like a
like
muscle
a huge
popping,
ball. Yeah.
like popping out of his like side.
Yeah.
What trapezoid is that? No, what is that one?
Yeah, no, that's your tricep.
Tricep. Yeah, it looked like that, right? Like a muscle, like his tricep was maybe popped
up,
out.
yeah. And so it was maybe overextended or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously you could even hear like when it happened, like you heard Paul Heyman, like, my tribal chief, get up, my tribe. But you heard Roman go like, it's out.
Yeah.
Like you heard him say that. Like the camera angle was right there, and he was like, it's
out. A lot of people thought his shoulder was out. That's what he was saying. And I don't think, like, I don't really think it was his shoulder at all. I think it might have been muscular, something like he might have thought at the time that his shoulder
maybe it was like
out.
a big, like, huge knot that happened, like almost like a giant Charlie horse, but in there because it was, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it was like, and so it did knot up, and then he had to, get it worked. I mean, it looked okay last night, but so I think something definitely happened. But
do you think it was the reason for the rushed finish? Because it definitely felt like a rushed finish. There was something
definitely a rushed finish. No,
it must have been the reason that they did that, right?
Dude, 100%. Like I said, when you heard him on the mat saying it's out, it's out.
Yeah.
Like that was not like tribal chief Roman Reigns.
That was Joe talking to Paul.
And he was like, it's out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but also, for as rushed as it was, the match it was just the same old. Like,
it was the same match we've seen.
These are your moves. I get it. Like, it was like you built that match as to be, and it was never not going to be that.
It was boring. It was a boring ass match that we've seen multitude of times. At least, see,
I don't think it would have gotten better either.
They needed a couple of like they could have done that match if they had done like 3 clever little spots, like little tricks. Like if they would have just sewn in 3 little tricks. The perfect one I'm going to talk about real quick is that when we saw Lesnar Goldberg at 33, that charge when Lesnar jumps over the top of Bill Goldberg, right? That match was in a way similar to this. You know what you're going to get. It's going to be these demonstrations of moves. It's going to last less than 5 minutes. It's going to be that match. You know what you're going to get. But because of that one jump, after Goldberg initially storms him for the, right after the bell, storms him for the spear, and that Lesnar jump, we will always look at that match more fondly than even the crappy match that it was. And because if they hadn't have done that, the match would have been absolute trash, right? That's what they needed in this. They needed a couple of high spots, or they needed they needed something to take it to that next level, and it didn't have it.
They may have had it planned after the rush, before the rushed finish. Like maybe I don't know if we'll ever know, but
I think there was probably something with a guillotine spot. I think he was probably supposed to do it with the guillotine, and maybe he obviously couldn't do that with the way his arm was. I don't know what that spot is, but that guillotine has been the real defining thing for Roman. So I think it was like, and it might have, maybe they were.
Well, what better thing to do than make Lesnar tap if you're gonna, right?
It was either gonna make Lesnar tap or pass out. I think it was pass out.
Yeah,
that was my because that's their kind of go-to when they want to keep someone strong.
That's their way to
But I mean, I would have preferred it if it was a tap out. But
yeah.
Overall, it was not the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time, like it was promised, and night 2 was clearly just nowhere near the caliber of night 1. Had some good moments.
Still good.
I still left feeling like WWE's in a better direction than it was when we started this WrestleMania. And for that, I left somewhat happy with Roman Reigns walking down the aisle with, the belts.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it's interesting because that ties now into, of course, Raw after WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes with his opening promo, basically saying that he was here to catch the main prize. I mean, amongst the too long didn't read version is that motherfucker said, "I'm coming for the belt." Now there's only one belt. I think he even used the term belt.
There's still two.
Well, we'll see. I don't know how.
Heyman's carrying, but if you were gonna do that, you should have just fucking had a new belt on Monday night,
ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you've had time.
Supply chain, bro. Supply chain. Everybody's dealing with it. Yeah.
You made a new NXT belt, women's belt, but.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was supposed to actually happen when they did the NXT 2.0 launch.
It also just made me it also just made me think that that's the way you can get Roman to lose. He doesn't have to lose both or something, like he ends up losing one and then they go back to the brands, because I don't know how that works.
Well, this is what we need to talk about really before we get off the air, because we obviously can't do too much longer, but yeah, it's the point in my mind, and need your thoughts on this, is that we have Cody here basically saying he's going for the belt. That's the reason he's back. That was most of the promo. Of course, it was more nuanced than that, but that's what he's here to do, is capture the belt. Doesn't name any names, doesn't call out Roman, who clearly has the belts. But then Roman doesn't say any goddamn thing at all about Cody's promo at the end of the show. We have a bookend of Cody starting the show, wanting to get the belt, and we have a Roman at the end of the show not even acknowledging that Cody has, basically put up this challenge.
Cody has to acknowledge him.
It's the story, man. The story too is gonna revolve somewhat around this whole Dusty not winning it because of a count out. There's gonna be something in there. Cody's gonna challenge. What I think is gonna happen is Cody's gonna challenge Roman at SummerSlam, and he's gonna lose, but he's gonna win it at the following Mania when The Rock doesn't show up.
I don't think you can get another year out of this Roman.
Honestly, the better scenario is that you actually have Cody win it at SummerSlam from Roman, so that in the off chance that The Rock does show up ready to go for WrestleMania,
he can help Roman win it.
Well, you can just drop it to Roman, and Roman can, something like that, and then you have The Rock. You could still do that. But
you have The Rock's music hit. You have him walk out. You have Cody be so holy shit, what happened? And then fucking Roman take him. I don't know, the whole thing with and I picked him to win because during this, when you have something that you were building up so much, Lesnar's already done so much and had it. This was to cement Roman, right? As the guy.
It must, yeah. With Lesnar in particular, yeah.
But you can't now keep this God mode Roman going for a whole other year because it's already tired.
Well, and it's always through nefarious means. Roman doesn't ever win clean. Heyman, they might have had more planned for that finish, but if you remember, Heyman pushed the rope so that Roman could grab it so there's always a nefarious mean with Heyman and Bloodline and all that. So that's obviously the heel, that's when they're not there and they can get taken out. Then we can have a new champion because someone will be able to.
And apparently Brock is booked for 2 more pay-per-views coming up.
Think about this weird one.
Money in the Bank.
Cody just had a handshake from Seth. He had a dark match with Kevin Owens that started with a handshake. What if we build a stable around the three of them and make it the WWE's new Mount Rushmore? Because there's a lot of allusions to that. I don't mind it. I don't mind it, though. That would be the WWE way they would do it. Throw Finn in there. Probably work.
They're not going to throw Finn in there.
Why not?
They don't think
he's not on that caliber. Yeah. No. God damn it. Well,
I like where your head's at, though. But
hey, I'm just trying to book for him. We'll move on because of course before we wrap up, we have to talk about this. I'm impressed with the look of the physique of this new debut of this man. Ezekiel, apparently he is Elias's younger brother. What gear? What a fantastic physique! I'm all in for this. I'm all in.
The tongue in cheek of it is funny. Like,
I mean, honestly, this is why not? Like, they weren't gonna do anything with Elias, so just why not?
I guess it's so weird. Even him tweeting from Elias's account on Twitter and being like, "Hey, it's Ezekiel. I'm his brother. He's no longer around."
Yeah. I love the you of it all. Like, it's stupid, and we're just gonna.
Of it is,
if they, the way they're leaning into it is perfect. Is great.
Yeah.
And I can get behind that. I also saw some stuff. Somebody on Twitter put it together. That when LA Knight was like in just not too long ago in NWA under Eli Drake. Of course, he was in Impact before that, but as Eli Drake, clean shaven with the longer hair, almost looks exactly like Ezekiel when he's obviously shaved like. And now I want to see LA Knight and Ezekiel be a tag team. Like they look super similar, and it's kind of weird.
I could see that. That's funny.
Yeah, I'll send you a side by side that I found. Like it's pretty funny. I know you're going to be excited about this. Jerry Lawler is going to be temporarily replacing Corey Graves on Raw for a couple weeks. I mean, that's going to be good for ratings. I mean,
Top Beast.
Here's what's crazy. It probably will be good for ratings. Like, because people will hear, oh my, is that an old voice I heard? Like, it'll be something like that, but who knows? Apparently, what else have I got here?
Veer was boring.
What's that?
Veer.
Oh, Veer. Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
That was a underwhelming.
Well, he's been waiting for a while, and then he came out and targeted, of course, the Mysterios, Dominic Moore in particular, and then I guess we've got a match now
next week for Ray and Veer.
Ray and Veer. Woo! This guy's gonna go to the fucking top. This guy's the man.
It just didn't feel like for all the hype that it's like. Okay, they waited way too long.
Can we just be racist for 1 minute? Why don't we just put Jinder Mahal and Veer together and call it a day and make them like a big badass tag team?
I don't think that's racist.
Of course it is, because they're Indian-ish. Whatever the fuck they are.
I still don't think that's racist. You didn't say anything bad about their race.
No, but just do that, and it would be better than what Veer's gonna do on his own.
I thought when I saw him last night, I was like, I wonder why. I thought to myself, one, I wonder how pissed off Jinder is, right? Because they've made this big deal, right? And like, but then I was like, I could see Jinder versus Veer in a Punjabi prison.
In a Punjabi, like,
that's racist. Sorry.
Oh, well, you just booked WrestleMania 39, and I thank you for doing that. Like, we were all wondering what the main event was gonna be, but you know, who wouldn't book a trip from around the country? Who wouldn't spend money on a 2-night WrestleMania.
Veer Mahan and Jinder Mahal in a
yeah,
Punjabi prison match.
That's what it is. That is that's absolutely it. Oh, my friend, unless there's much more that you want to talk about, those were my 5 pages of notes, and I think I did pretty good getting through
You
them.
did a great job. You did a great job, and you're the champ.
And I'm the
My
champ.
tribal chief.
I tell you what, I am.
Tribal chief.
I'm gonna be a lot more obnoxious this run. That is a promise. I
already saw it when you came up with the sunglasses, the jacket.
Yeah, well, I put my sunglasses back on for the end of this show. You know,
all right,
just to make sure that the people understand that they're dealing with a new Owen as champion. See, I used to be a lot more humble. I used to be a guy that just ran a podcast, made some innocent projections. No. You see, I thought hard and long about every single one of my predictions. And you know what I did? I wrote a master plan before WrestleMania. I came in with a plan that these motherfuckers didn't have a clue about. So I came in and I brawn breakered, ass fucked all of them. And I Steiner broed all of you with a woof, woof, woof. And I came out the big top dollar man. Top dollar, no longer with the company. Hope that guy's okay. Hey, AJ. Anyway, we appreciate you listening, and you'll be getting to hear, more from a real world champion soon. A guy that actually shows up to work, a guy that actually, pops into the podcast every once in a while. Oh, I do every single one. That's right, 'cause I'm the man, baby, the real deal. Owen Shafiel, making up words.
Owen Shafiel.
Yeah, I turned into Owen Shafiel. I like it.
Yeah.
It's my new one. It's the real deal
There you
Owen
go.
Shafiel. That's my new gimmick, and I'm going with it. And I'm a heel, and you guys are gonna get to hear from me all the time. Matthew, bet you wish you had this. Bet you wish you had this right here. This championship belt.
I left it in Hogsboro.
But you can't handle. You couldn't handle 3 nights of this. I wanted the first night, Matthew, and I defended it every single night with flying colors.
I'm coming for WrestleMania Backlash.
You will not be doing that, and I will still be the winner. I'm holding this belt for a long time, folks. So you're gonna have to get used to this.
Sooner or later.
I figured out. See, that's what you don't understand is I figured it out. I figured out their plan. I figured out how they do it. I figured out the results in the process. So. You're not losing this, or you're not winning this anytime soon. I got it all up my sleeve, baby.
Famous last word.
Anyway, boys and girls, thank you once again for listening to the Oh No Wrestling podcast. I know it's been a long one. We're going to have to catch up again soon, probably next week. We'll take a little bit more of a look at hopefully the indies from last week and WrestleMania weekend, as we will with AEW, because I think this Dynamite's going to be banging tomorrow night, Wednesday. And we're excited about seeing you at some point next week. We'll let you know when. And, you can find out when you check out facebook.com/groups/OhNoWrestling. That's the easiest place that you can find all of our wrestling content. Patreon.com/ONRS. If you're looking to donate an extra couple of bucks, it's always helpful. That ONRS stands for Ono Radio Show, which is, of course, run by Ono Media. Essentially, check out OnoMedia.com. You can find links to all of the shows that we do over here, but Ono Radio Show is the flagship show for this enterprise, and it's a lot of fun. You can check that out on Thursday nights as well. Matthew, you got anything to plug? Do you have any plugs?
I don't have any plugs tonight.
No plugs tonight? Well,
Nope.
I guess then that will lead us to Matthew. What do we say when we get out of here for the Oh No Wrestling Podcast?